Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host. We're coming to you live from the fabulous Las Cruces studios, broadcasting on the Las Cruces channel. Before we get started, I'd like to tell you about a sponsor, 3A Research. 3A Research is a clinical trials company that is from El Paso and now has expanded to Las Cruces. 3A Research is an experienced clinical research site in Las Cruces conducting clinical trials. These clinical trials test and investigate treatments being developed by pharmaceutical companies. Currently, they're offering an 8-week study on plaque psoriasis. 3A Research uses board-certified doctors. Just for completing the study, you'll receive $225 for 3 visits to the office on Telshore. So if you suffer from this condition, psoriasis, we recommend that you give them a call at 575-288-1646. Now let's get into the show. The title of the show today is Who Will Save Us? Now, if you're like me and you believe that the Trump campaign did so much for our country, and now that the Biden campaign is changing all of that and withdrawing all the Trump accomplishments, then I would say you should be outraged. And I think even my reasonable Democrats would say, maybe we got buyer's remorse, So as time goes on, I think people will really understand how good it was and how bad it's going to be and is right now. Now, there's some people that think the military is in charge, that Biden is not in charge, that the military is going to come sweeping in and save the day, and that Trump is going to be reinstalled back into office. And, it's a nice thought, it's kind of a dream, but I don't know that that's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen, who's going to save us from the problems that we have now? We have open borders, our police are under fire, they're defunding our police, they're taking away our personal protection from our Second Amendment rights. Who do you think is going to save us? Do you think it's going to be Donald Trump? Do you think it's going to be the military? Do you think it's going to be Mike Lindell, the pillow guy? No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's really up to us to really help ourselves, help our country, save our country. Because if you think back, you think in the 1700s, do you think our forefathers waited for England to be nice? No. They took care of things. They took charge of the situation. In the Second World War, what happened when Hitler and Japan were at war with the Allies? What happened when Europe was invaded? My father, a Second World War vet, Roy Gallus, he's since deceased, he was serving in the North Atlantic on a destroyer escort, and then he was serving on an LSM, a landing ship medium in the Pacific. So, and many of our fathers and grandfathers went into the Second World War to save our country. They took action. They did what was necessary. We had Air Force, Army, Navy, Merchant Marines, Coast Guard. All these young men and women saw a need to get involved, save our country, save our world, and they did. So when I see what's going on now, I see we're in grave danger. I mean, we've had our elections that have been corrupted. They're having investigations now, I think, in Arizona that's proving that there is a lot of corruption going on. I've even found it here in Las Cruces and Doña County. I ran for New Mexico State Senate. And after I and every other Republican, including Donald Trump, lost in the Doña County race, and we saw how the numbers changed, I'm not even getting into the voting machines that they had, the ones that are proven to be corrupt in Arizona. But I'm getting involved, and I found that there was a law that our state legislature passed, and it actually took away oversight from the normal people. It's called an election board, which would be 3 judges, a presiding judge and 2 judges of elections, that would oversee the absentee ballots when they came in. And they would qualify whether or not these were actual voters. Well, they took that away from an election board, which was partisan judges, and they gave it to a county clerk who herself was on the ballot. So this was a violation of New Mexico state law. It was also a violation of election law. So I went to a couple lawyers and talked to them, and they didn't want to handle it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try and do this myself. And I heard about pro se, which means you are your own lawyer. You're the prosecutor. So I'm suing our county clerk, the Secretary of State, and this senator who is a key person in the legislation of election law. To me, it's an illegal law. I do have my court case coming up in June 9th before the 3rd District Court. And I say this because I'm engaging. Now, I'm not patting myself on the back and saying, well, all the things that I'm doing. But the difference between me and some folks is that I'm getting educated and understanding what's going on in politics. You know, when I look back and raising a family, I didn't get involved in politics. I thought, well, you know, what's more important than working and raising your kids? Well, there is not much more important than that. But I'm sure there was time that I could have gotten involved in politics, at least say maybe the school board. That's a real basic level. And we have school board elections coming up in Las Cruces. We also have the city council races coming up, and we have soil and water races coming up. These might not seem to be important, but they're very important. I mean, if you think our city's being run well, I certainly don't. And changes need to be made. But the only way we can do that is if we get educated. Now, as far as education, all these books I have here, these are the books that I've been studying about education. I learned about how, a long time ago, Ronald Reagan, when he was president, he knew that there was a problem in education, and he had a study. And the study turned out a paper, and the paper was called A Nation in Crisis. It showed that our schools were not doing well. They weren't doing a good job in educating our children, and the schools were run by the unions. So all this material I've been studying. I'm not saying you have to do all this, but I'm saying the best way to get engaged is to get educated and know what you're talking about. As I retired and came out to New Mexico, I'm originally from Philadelphia. As I came out, I started taking a course at New Mexico State University on U.S. Constitution. And this is the textbook that I was given by my professor. Well, the professor was very biased, although he said he wasn't. And as we were going through the class, I was really getting tired of hearing about how much he hated Trump. But the one week I stopped and I said, hey, professor, I said, in this whole text, there's only one chapter that you did not cover, and it's the bureaucracy. And he gave me a silly answer. And what did he say? He says, oh, no, we need the experts. Well, yes, we do need the experts, but it seems to me like the bureaucracy is making the laws. Congress is supposed to make the laws, but the bureaucracy actually writes the laws, and they can actually enforce the laws. Any three acronyms that you hear, the IRS, any of those that you hear have enforcement powers. So they make the laws and they enforce the laws. That is supposed to be done by Congress alone. This is something that I didn't know until I started studying the Constitution. There's so many other things too, but I lasted about 6 weeks in that class, and finally I said that's enough, because he was more of, my professor was more of a clown than he was a teacher. He was trying to impose his ideology on the class instead of explaining to us how brilliant our forefathers were in drafting the document, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And you know, I think about some of my friends that don't engage in politics, and this is why we're in trouble, because we don't engage in politics. My friends could name every starting quarterback in the NFL, but I'll guarantee they don't know the first 10 amendments to the Constitution called the Bill of Rights. They probably don't know that there's 3 branches of government, and each branch has its own separate job, and they should not overlap. But nowadays, we have the Supreme Court making laws, not their job. All they're supposed to do is interpret the Constitution. We have, we don't have Congress doing their job, which is the only body that can make laws. So we have the Supreme Court, and we even have the President. The President is making laws that he's not supposed to make, executive orders. So it's topsy-turvy. But you only understand this if you educate yourselves. Now, when I started getting involved after I started to take the course in U.S. Constitution, then I started to go to city council meetings, and I started going to county commission meetings. And I started listening to what was going on, and I could see the play. I could see the bias in some, well, now it's all run by Democrats in the city council and the county commission. And I could see the heavy bias towards progressive. You want to call it progressive, I call it regressive socialism. But they're pushing that social agenda. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense about running a city or a county. And certainly our state's in bad shape. I mean, we had a governor, two governors ago, we had Martinez, Susana Martinez, Republican. We had a border crisis back then. Susana Martinez sent down National Guard troops to cover our border, which was porous, very open. We also had 6 other states that sent their National Guard to help with our border control. As soon as Lujan Grisham, the Democrat, became governor, I think it was less than a month after she took office, she pulled the National Guard troops off of the border. And she sent the other National Guard troops back that were sent from other states to help us out. And now, our border again has been stopped. The Biden administration is not closing off the border, is not erecting the wall. And, well, he tried to stop erecting the wall. I heard there is some wall being built. But they don't even realize, well, they probably do realize how bad it is down there, because Kamala Harris, the vice president, was supposed to be the border czar. She's never even been down to the border. She doesn't want to know how bad it is down there. We're hearing about how bad it is. But this is the Democratic mindset that wants open borders, take away your guns, not educate your children, but indoctrinate your children. All these things are going to continue, and they're going to get worse unless we do something about it. And it only happens when we get involved. So after I started going to class and learned about the Constitution, then I joined the John Birch Society. Now, some people will say, John Birch Society, whoa, wait a minute, tinfoil hat people. Not really. What it is, it's an excellent educational material organization. They tell you what's going on. There's a publication that comes out. It's called The New American, and these 2 copies talk about the troubles in our school system. I'll guarantee that if some parents got involved and found out what their children are learning and what they're not learning, they would be very surprised. And they would probably want to get involved, and they should get involved. When I was going to school, I went to Catholic school. So most of the time we were terrorized by the nuns. But we did learn discipline. We did learn basic economics. I knew how to balance a checkbook when I was 19 years old and starting to raise a family. I'll guarantee you that kids nowadays, when they graduate high school, they can't even make change at a fast food restaurant. It's funny, if you say you get an order and it's not an exact amount, and you give some coins to make up the difference, so you'll get, say, a $1 bill or a couple dollars back, not more coins. These people go into spasms. They don't know what to do. These young kids will go, whoa, no. If you can't punch it into a computer, then the computer can tell you what to give back. They're lost. They'll end up calling the manager, and the manager might even call corporate because he doesn't know how to do it. That's an exaggeration, but seriously, kids do not know how to handle money. Now, I knew how to balance a checkbook. I've never been in debt, and I've owned probably 6 houses now, raised 4 children, and helped raise many others. I've never been in debt. I've always paid my bills. I've always worked. But what does our government do? Our government teaches you to go into debt. As a matter of fact, our government shows you how to go into debt. They have an organization called the Federal Reserve, and it's no more federal than FedEx. The Federal Reserve was started by bankers to make money. And what the Federal Reserve was supposed to do, what any bank is supposed to do, is to lend money, but it has to have cash reserves in the form of gold and silver to back up the amount of money that they are loaning out. I think they were supposed to have 90% in cash reserves or coin reserves. But that's all changed. Now, there are no reserves in the Federal Reserve. All they do is print more money. And when you print more money, you devalue the value of that dollar. To give you, for instance, when I was about 12 years old, my dad, who was a city fireman in Philadelphia, he made $3,000 a year, and that included him working under the table, shoveling snow in the wintertime, cutting grass in the summertime. $3,000 a year. He supported a family of 7 in a single home in a blue-collar neighborhood in Philadelphia on $3,000 a year. What could you do with $3,000 a year now? Not much. Not much at all. So we're going to go to break, folks, but before I do, I want to let you know again about 3A Research. It's a clinical research company that is doing testing on psoriasis, and you can make yourself $225 for 3 visits to the office, and you get the added benefit of a cream that I've heard works very well. My brother-in-law has been using the cream, and he said it's really taken away his psoriasis. So we'll be back to talk more about the problems we face and who is going to save us. Be right back.
Living with eczema can be distressing and the condition is on the rise. 3A Research in Las Cruces is conducting an 8-week clinical trial and seeking participants ages 12 and older for a clinical research study on an investigational drug for eczema. Study-related exam and procedures at no cost. Compensation for time and travel up to $450 will be provided. Call us at 575-288-1646 to see if you qualify.
If your loved one has passed away due to COVID-19, pay close attention to this message. You could be entitled to a death benefit of over $300,000. The U.S. government has set up a fund to pay families relief if they've lost a loved one due to COVID-19. The compensation includes a death benefit and lost wages benefit. Time is limited, so we urge you to make a free phone call right now. There's no cost to you for this claim. That's 866-372-3669.
Do you suffer from rashes, dryness, flakiness, and thickness to the skin? 3A Research is conducting a trial of an investigational drug on plaque psoriasis. Subjects must be 18 years of age or older. This is an 8-week study. We will compensate you for your time and travel up to $225.
Enrolling participants now in Las Cruces. Contact our office at 575-288-1646 or visit our Facebook page at 3A Research or our website 3asites.com.
They've stormed beaches and freed countries. They've raised our flag and our hope. They've been called leathernecks. They've been called devil dogs. But above all, they're called Marines.
Hi folks, welcome back to We the People. I'm Dave Gallus, your host, and today we're talking about who's going to save us. You know, just seeing the commercial at the break there, the Marines storming the beaches. My dad was in the Navy, and he was a hero, and every one of those soldiers that stepped up are heroes too. Can we do any less? They were protecting our country and our world. How about us? Get involved. You know, just the other day, we had to deal with an issue. When I say we, I'm part of the Hispanic Conservative Outreach Committee. And my producer, well, there you go, it's on the screen. This group of people are getting involved in local politics. And the funny thing is it's amazing that we haven't been more involved with the Hispanic community because that's 69% of our population here in Doñana County is Hispanic. So, gosh, you know, we really need to engage with the Hispanic community. Our platforms are faith, family, and freedom. And it's all about engaging the Hispanic community and helping them understand what's going on. There's some very poor communities called colonias that really don't know what's going on. Some don't even speak English. So we're working on that to get some interpreters. But like I said, we had an issue that came up in our school board. This is your school board in Las Cruces in Doña County. And the Las Cruces School Board wanted to pass a bill, or a policy, I guess you could say, and really it boils down to, there's a controversy as to what the definition is, but basically it's about privilege, white privilege, and it's critical race theory. Now, we fought it. A lot of us went there, we argued our point, we said how we felt, and the school board does exactly what it wants, not what the people want. Now, there's a lot of people that don't understand what's going on, but think about it. A white child now is going to be ostracized by the school, by the other students, because of the mere fact that they're white. Now, that's racism. You know, I thought we got by that. I was a policeman in Philadelphia in the 70s, and racism was bad then. This was right after the Watts riots in California, the New York riots. Even in Philadelphia, we had rioting going on. The Black Panthers were rioting on Columbia Avenue. Things were bad in the 70s, but they gradually got better and better and better. And I'm proud to say that I even voted for the first black president we had. I'm not proud of what the president did, but I'm proud of the fact that our country got so far away from racism that we elected a black president, Barack Obama. I didn't vote for him the second time, not after what he did, because he turned the wheels in the other direction. Racism got worse and worse and worse. He actually pulled our country apart, which is very typical of the Democratic Party. If you really dig into this, and I have a lot of Democratic friends, and I am not criticizing my friends for anything. I know, especially down here in New Mexico, the traditional Hispanic community are Democrats, but they're the John F. Kennedy Democrats. These are reasonable Democrats. And they have such close-knit family ties that they don't want to upset their family. I know myself, my sister-in-law wanted to disown her own sister because she voted for Trump. So, you know, this gets crazy. So, down here in New Mexico, the Hispanic community, by and large, is traditional, conservative, Christian, common sense, constitutionalist. They are not Democrats. But to me, I don't care how you register. I care how you vote. And don't vote a party, although I don't know of any Democrats that I could vote for anymore. Before, I would vote for John Arthur Smith or Mary Kay Papen because they were reasonable people. But now, those two people that I just mentioned, John Arthur and Mary Kay, they were primaried out. They were taken out by their own party because they were too moderate. They were too centrist. They were the kind of people that you could speak to and work with and negotiate terms with. So I can't imagine any Democrat that I could vote for. All I see is progressivism. That's what they call it. To me, it's regressive socialism. So what do we do about it? We went to the school board and we argued the point. We said we do not want critical race theory in our schools. We don't want to teach our children that there's any difference between white, black, colored. No difference. Everybody gets a fair shake. When I got up to the lectern, I said, where did this come from, folks? I said to the school board, did this come out of your own imagination? Why are you bringing this up? And I'm pretty sure it came from the union, the school teachers union, or from some higher authority. And I asked them, I said, well, where's your files of complaints about children being abused or being neglected or not being given a fair shake? Of course, they didn't have anything. They couldn't produce anything because there is nothing, I'm sure. This is the way that progressivism is taking over our schools. Look at our governor. Our governor was given power in an emergency situation to shut the whole state down. Now, to me, this COVID-19, which is 99% recovery for people that get it, all ages, 99%. And yet they shut our churches, they shut our schools, they shut our businesses down, and now 60% of our businesses won't even recover. So what happens? So you get a freebie given out by the Democratic Party, or it's given out by the government, and the Democratic Party is controlling the government right now. So you're going to get all these freebies. It's a welfare system, folks. Don't you understand that this welfare makes you weaker, makes you dependent on the government? If the Democratic Party can push people away, black against white, male against female, homo against hetero, rich against poor. If they create an enemy, then people reach to the government and say, please fix this problem. When the government is the party that started this problem, that exacerbated this problem, that continues this problem, you have to see beyond that. The only way you do that is through education, study, read, go to city council meetings. Like I said, I'm part of the Hispanic Conservatives Outreach Committee, which is a subcommittee of the Republican Party. But you don't have to be Hispanic. I'm an OWG, an old white guy. So anybody can join, but it's all about helping the Hispanic community understand what's going on in government and engaging them, showing them that they can file a lawsuit like I did, pro se. You don't have to have a lawyer. You can engage and speak out against your city council, your county commissioners. You can write letters. You can write complaints. You can demand information from our government in the form of IPRA requests, Information of Public Records Act. There's so many things that you don't know about that will empower you so that we, the people, will be making the decisions, not these government hacks. Now, you wonder how the Democrats stay in power. They have a lot of big money behind them. They pay for elections. In our case, in the last general election, they bought the election. So you've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They're the puppets. They're the puppets that were put in power by the corrupt hierarchy, and this is global stuff. All this money they can pour into campaigns to sway a vote, but they can also buy votes by corrupt officials, by corrupting the voting machines, and you're going to find this out. It's running now in Arizona, that Maricopa County, I think it is, that they're doing the audit. And that could translate over here into Las Cruces in Doñana County in the state of New Mexico, because we use the same Dominion machines that they did. So the whole point, folks, is to get engaged, get involved. And listen, if you need information about any of the things I spoke about, give me a call. Call me at 856-952-7343, and I'll explain. If you're not local, find out where your Republican Party is local to you. Get involved, because nobody's going to save us except us, we the people. So I don't know what next week's subject's going to be. The last couple weeks have been about talking to Hispanics that used to be Democrats, now are Republicans, tell their stories. I've been bringing in business owners that really need our help to get back on their feet, support the people that support us. And don't forget, we got the 3A Research Company. If you have psoriasis, give them a call at 575-288-1646. You'll get $225 for 3 office visits. You could very possibly get your skin problems cured. So, till next week, folks, this is Dave Gallus signing off from We the People.